to another episode of RTP Wrestling, our pinnacle, our peak show, our Monday Night Raw. This week in wrestling is today. Today I'm going at it solo. If you don't know me, I'm RTP and ANT in HD. And usually there's an next to me. There's usually John here, but today he can't make it. He's got an audition all the way down in San Diego. So good luck, John. We're hoping the best for you. But today, man, you know, this is This Week in Wrestling. This week, I put in over 20 hours of wrestling watching this week. I know, unemployed. I know, virgin. You could say all that. But I'm a hustler, man. And I do it for you because on this... Look, you guys show me love and I show you love. Pretty simple. Last week, we celebrated our first 3,000 subscribers. This week, we're celebrating our first 5,000 subscribers. We're at 5,448 subscribers at the time of recording this. So thank you. And I always say this, man, if y'all show love to me, I show love to you. And y'all love This Week in Wrestling, not just because it's a WWE show, not just because it's an AEW show, but this week, I got to watch WWE. I got to watch Raw, I got to watch SmackDown, I got to watch NXT, I got to watch AEW Dynamite, Collision, I got to watch TNA's first episode on AMC and their pay-per-view, TNA Genesis, and I also got to watch Triple A's show. I don't know the name of that show. I don't know if I wrote it down, but it was like an hour-long show on YouTube, amazing show. But anyway, we'll talk about all that in segments, but of course, before we do that, I just want to thank y'all again for 5,000 subscribers. Every project I work on gets bigger. I worked on a project, a podcast that had under 100 subscribers. My next podcast hit about 400 subscribers before I moved on to that. Then I started streaming, hit 1,000 followers on Twitch. Go to RTP Sports. We rake in 3,000 subscribers in 3 years, and now RTP Wrestling has 5,000 subscribers in less than 5 months. The fastest growing wrestling channel in the world. So let's just dive straight into it, man. I don't want to take up too much here. I'm guessing this is going to be a long episode, and I already feel this heat in my garage, so I'm just going to dive straight into Friday Night SmackDown. Now, usually I start with whatever the biggest segment was on the show. There was no really big segment on this show this week, so I'm just going to kick it off with what I want to talk about first. And honestly, I've seen a lot of people giving a lot of flowers to some of the younger guys on SmackDown, and I want to do the same, but it's not going to be Trick Williams first. Shout out Kiana James, because Kiana James looked amazing in that match with Julia. It kind of felt like a coming out party for her. It kind of felt like the first time they kind of were like, all right, go do whatever you want to do. We trust you now. And she definitely looked like it. She out-wrestled, I think, Charlotte, Alexa, and Julia. She seemed like the most, at least fun, and maybe because it was a surprise. But SmackDown this week, every single segment felt like a hit. Felt like a banger. The Charlotte and Alexa, Julia, Kiana match, I'm just going to touch on this a little bit, felt very good because it felt refreshing in the women's tag division. I feel like because they're trying to push it, they're pushing it the wrong way, though. It's a very cookie-cutter match. You know, very simple matches, but this one felt a little fun, and I don't know what it was. I'm not gonna lie, maybe because there's this kind of intertwined feud with Julia being the champion and Alexa Bliss going after that title, and we kind of feel like Charlotte Flair is gonna go after that title as well. I think it would have been more interesting if Julia were to pin Alexa Bliss in this match, or if Charlotte Flair were to have pinned Julia, just to build a little bit more tension between Charlotte and Alexa so we could get to that eventual feud. If Charlotte pinned Julia, then eventually that compensates. Why? Okay. But I will give Trick Williams his flowers as well, because in a segment later on in the show, Trick Williams really feels like he is a main carder. He feels like the guy. He feels like the top dog. I felt like on NXT, his promo started to feel a little bit cookie cutter, kind of like the same thing every time, but on SmackDown, he's just talking his shit. And that's the type of guy that I like. That's the type of guy I root for. You know, go out there and be the big dog. Talk your stuff a little bit and back it up. And he did. He beat Zack Ryder also tonight, or Matt Cardona. I don't think they pull the trigger on Trick this soon. I think we're going to get a Trick Mello program. I think that's why they're keeping them away from each other. But teasing Trick in the main event has worked out, and I think if they wanted to give him the ball, it feels like they could. All this Trick Williams stuff kind of makes me feel like Obafemi needs to get moved over to Monday Night Raw instead of SmackDown, because Trick Williams should eventually be the main eventer on SmackDown, while Obafemi, I mean, he's a heavyweight, give him the heavyweight title. Next we go to Leon versus Carmelo. I thought this match was the second best match of the week, and we'll get to my first one a little bit later on. But Leon Edwards versus Carmelo Hayes was a very good match. Leon Edwards Leon Edwards, bro. I'm getting ready for the UFC this weekend. You know what? Hey, there's UFC this weekend, and if you're gonna bet on the UFC, bet no further than Boom Sports. Apologies, the sponsor of the show. Code RTP gets you a risk-free bet up to $100. It is the quickest and easiest way to support the show. So I want to give a special shout out and thank you to Boom Fantasy, all because I brought up Leon Edwards. But what I meant to say was Leon Slater. Leon Slater has been nothing but amazing in all of his wrestling. I'm going to just say wrestling matches because I do watch TNA here and there, and I do watch him on NXT. But on SmackDown, him and Carmelo Hayes made magic. He is definitely going to get poached by the WWE eventually, and I'm excited for it because I do think under the bright lights, Leon Slater could be a baller. I believe he's 21, 22 years old. That kid is a straight killer. And obviously Carmelo Hayes, just keep pushing him forward, keep lugging him along. Leon Slater missed his TNA show this week because of travel issues, so it's cool that he still got to be on TV this week and reutilized. Sammy versus Ilya, to me, was one of the more disappointing matches of the night, and I'm not saying disappointing as it's bad, but their other matches were 4.5, 4.75, 4+ star matches. I thought this match was really good. I just didn't think it had the jeopardy that the other match had, and the upset win in the moment. It just felt like a very good in-ring match. Now, Sami Zayn is probably the favorite to win this fatal four-way at Saturday night's main event. I think going from Montreal to Saudi, it just makes a lot of sense. And I really thought he could beat Drew, but I'm hearing a lot of people say, like, that's just what Drew wants. Drew wants to get this heat. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I'm not going to lie. Sami Zayn obviously is a killer. He's obviously one of the best wrestlers in the world. Had some of the best matches, maybe even ever to start last year with Kevin Owens. We have that WrestleMania tag match. Just banger after banger, you know. And I do think he's due for a world championship. I don't know why my camera does that. I do think he's due for a world championship eventually, but I just don't think now's the time. I think it's going to be a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam moment. I really want it to be Saudi Arabia in front of a Saudi Arabian crowd because you know they'll get lit, or Montreal because you know they'll get lit. But they love pump faking us with Sami Zayn, man. I do think eventually he'll get his big moment, but I just don't think it's anytime soon. I'm also not against Randy Orton being the one to fight Drew McIntyre because I could see a world where Randy beats Drew and Cody wins the Royal Rumble. I do want to mention that if Sami Zayn does beat Drew McIntyre, there's a real world. Not a real world, but Kevin Owens coming back and winning the Royal Rumble would be electric because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn is a WrestleMania main event caliber match. Not like Jey Uso, Gunther. And I'm not a Jey Uso hater. I'm not going to be the one to hate on Jey Uso. But that just wasn't a WrestleMania caliber match. I know we got a lot of WWE fans. So now that I can do solo, I can talk about this a little bit. The reason I do it this way is WWE comes first because a lot of people are going to watch WWE. If you don't watch WWE, you could just click off when I'm on to AEW. But I do want to WWE. So Monday Night Raw started the week. We get Punk versus Finn. I'm going to give a prediction for this match. I think we're going to get the Demon. I don't know if that necessarily means there's a win. But Finn Balor said he likes when the Demon's more of a surprise and he hates how WWE does it where he needs the Demon to win. I think there's a potential world where we get surprise Demon on Monday night and he doesn't beat CM Punk, but they have a great match. I would love to see Finn Balor win. I just don't think there's a realistic angle for him to win. Like, what do you do after a Finn Balor World Championship? Unless you're going to give it to Dom, there's no one he's really intertwined with right now. But I do think Finn Balor just makes hits of matches. I don't know if Finn Balor and AJ Styles ever had a match together. So maybe that's the angle, get AJ Styles back in the main event. But Punk versus AJ Styles would be just as good. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Raquel Rodriguez. I don't know why I tried to do that. I'm so sorry. I'm an Arab boy. I do not need to be rolling my R's. But Raquel smashes Stephanie Vacquer. Just absolutely goes out there and destroys her, punks her, embarrasses her. And I am ready for a title change. Now, there's two angles that could go with this, right? I think Raquel Rodriguez fights in a match for the title, which, cool, that's basic, wins the title. And then you could do Liv Morgan, you could do Roxanne, you could do those two at WrestleMania. You could do Rhea Ripley before WrestleMania. And then Rhea versus Io at WrestleMania. That's how you get there because Raquel and Rhea actually have amazing matches under their their repertoire under their belt. Or the angle that I would prefer, and it kind of messes stuff up because I thought Bianca Belair was going to win the Royal Rumble, but I would love to see the Stephanie Vickers title go on the line at Royal Rumble. Whatever lady wins the Rumble wins the title. I think it'd just be fun. It'd be refreshing for sure. I think that we don't need WrestleMania main events made in these big Royal Rumble Elimination Chamber matches. There's other ways to make them. And I think WWE, at least in January, has been very well at storytelling and giving us these, not moments, but kind of the feel of a moment. So I do think there's an alternate angle for that. I feel like WWE's fumbling Theory, which is something we've hit on consistently. He just feels like a mid-carder already, which isn't good. If you're going to throw him in the division, he should feel like a big dog. And they haven't. I don't like this angle at all. But once Seth Rollins does the whole he's been working with me thing, then you'll get me back, bro. Then you'll get me back. The feeling will be back. That's what we're going to be on. But as of right now, it's just not working for me. They're making Braun look like a beast, as he should be. But Theory, they're making look like a bum. And I don't love it because I am an Austin Theory fan. I'm a believer. I think Babyface Theory would have been fun. I like the selfie cocky gimmick. But this Theory where it's just kind of, I'm going to be angry and just stand there, is just not going to put him over and make him into what I think Theory could be, which is, I'll say a main eventer. I think he can be in that main event sector for sure. Gunther versus AJ Styles was a really good match, but slightly disappointing for me because I just had such a high bar. I did expect a 5-star banger in the Tokyo Dome, 6.7 stars in the Tokyo Dome, but it just didn't give me that because of one word, jeopardy. I knew Gunther was going to win this match, or Gunther, however you want to say it, Walter, but I did not think AJ Styles had a chance at winning, and I think that's what kind of ruins this. Because I know AJ Styles isn't going to win, I know that Gunther is going to win. Therefore, it's just like, all right, we know what we're watching here. The tapping out angle I find interesting because if you're the ring general, then you could outsmart. You're a general in the ring. You're smarter than anyone you ever wrestle. I don't think Gunther has to be this powerhouse necessarily. He could be a kind of strategic, smart wrestler. I just think it makes AJ Styles look dumb. If you've been wrestling for 30 years, how do you fall for this? You give up when the ref stops, I don't know. I think what we're going towards is AJ Styles probably eliminating Gunther from the Royal Rumble, and then maybe AJ Styles versus Punk at Elimination Chamber and Gunther costing him there somehow, and then AJ Styles versus Gunther, that retirement match at WrestleMania. I honestly wouldn't even be opposed to an AJ Gunther Punk triple threat. Now that could be a lot of fun. That could be a lot of jeopardy, and maybe one of them pins Punk, and then we get a title versus career match at WrestleMania. Either way, I think it's phenomenal what they're doing with AJ Styles. I think what's cool about WWE right now, which it hasn't been probably all year last year. I'm not going to lie. Last year was a very down year for WWE, but I feel like there's a lot of paths they could go down, There's the tree, CM Punk. All right, I want to see CM Punk fight AJ Styles. I want to see him fight Finn Balor. I don't want to see him fight Braun anymore, but Braun's on that tree. Sure, go ahead. I feel like the same thing like I said with Raquel Rodriguez. You got Rodriguez, you got Rhea, you got Liv, you got Roxanne. You could even throw a Lyra in there. There's options to kind of split off and start these feuds. And last year it kind of was Sami Zayn is going to get Karrion Kross. Cody Rhodes, John Cena, Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Gunther. I like the fun for me in wrestling is not knowing what's coming next. And I feel like we haven't had that in a while in WWE. Finally getting that is nice. Let's head over to AEW now. I personally didn't love AEW this week. Now, there was a couple things that I thought were extreme highlights, but there was a lot of things that just didn't really work for me. Because this is a solo episode, I'm only kind of talking about the things that I want to talk about. I definitely skipped over things like Jordan Grace, but shout out to Jordan Grace. She looks amazing. But AEW, Darby Allin beats Pac. I just don't really care anymore, honestly, about Darby Allin dethroning the Death Riders. They're not even bad anymore, so what are you really trying to hurt, just because you haven't beat Pac? I'm cool. I'm ready for both of these guys to get elevated into the main event. I think they're kind of missing that. Not missing main eventers, but missing, you can only be a mid-carder for so long. Especially in Pac's case, I think he's put in the work to be in the main event now. Darby Allin's been there, but he just decided to climb a mountain at the wrong time. We could talk about Hangman, Swerve, and Kenny Omega all kind of calling out MJF. I just hate seeing Hangman and Swerve as a team. I'm hoping Kenny Omega versus MJF at Revolution because I'm going to be there and I'm going to be lit. So if you guys see me there, please come say what's up, dap me up, shout me out, whatever, do what you want to do. But yeah, I'm super stoked for whatever's coming. And MJF versus Kenny Omega would be a phenomenal match. Phenomenal. But my match of the week comes out of nowhere with this 4-way tag match. I'm going to try to do this off the dome. We had Jet Speed. We had Davis and Doyle. We had the Bucks. And we had, I don't remember Ricochet's group's name. But these guys all went out there and absolutely hooped. I, at least feeling-wise, feel like this was the best match of the month. Like, so far. I know we still have 13 days left in the month. But, I mean, when Toa, the big one, did the flip, I was like, damn. It was an amazing finish with Doyle and, what did I say? I said it. Doyle and Davis getting the win. I really wanted Jet Speed. I feel like it's almost time for Jet Speed to win titles, and we're going to get there. Don't worry. I'm not lacking. I told you, 20 plus hours of wrestling. I'm never lacking. But this was, I thought, an amazing match. I think a fun watch. I love these multi-team matches, and anything more than 2v2 works in AEW. And FTR is one of the best heels. I'm not even going to say heel tag teams. They're the best heels in wrestling probably right now because they're so fun. They're so simple. So I think having this, like, sort of feud just to get Doyle and Davis a little bit more over can work. It kind of feels like how the Outrunners were at the beginning of last year. We had Tekla pin Statlander. Now, I'm not a huge Statlander fan, and I guess a lot of this ties in with Collision, but I think I'm ready to strap up Tekla. I think she's ready to go. She definitely has more star potential than Statlander. Statlander to me is a little cringy the way she talks, and I do feel like her builds to matches are not that good, but what the promo she cut on Tekla on Collision was really good. I'm still ready for Tekla to win the title, though. Give some gold to the Triangle of Madness. Bandito versus MJF, I thought was very interesting. I thought there was an interesting angle after the match where MJF said, "You're going to be a future world champion one day. That's why I got to do this." And he beats Bandito's ass. I personally love that. I love it's just simple, bro. At the end of the day, MJF is the heel. You got to get that heel heat, and he found a simple way to do it. Plain, simple. I do think, though, Brody King, I thought this would have been a perfect time for Brody King to go heel and clothesline Bandito or something like that. But if it don't happen, it don't happen. I like them as a tag team, too. I don't think they win gold ever again. So I don't know if they have to be together anymore. But I also don't like Brody King as a heel either. So I guess there's no real win-win there. But hey, what are you going to do? I'm not booking the show. Collision. Now, Collision, I'm going to give a little bit of warning because Friday... What did I do? This was Saturday. Excuse me. Saturday, I watched football all day, and then I watched TNA's pay-per-view. I watched AAA, and then I watched Collision. So Collision, I didn't end up like watching everything to the point where I felt like I could review it thoroughly, but I'm gonna hit the story beats here because that's the least I could do. Andrade vs. Angelico, this was a match I did kind of watch thoroughly, and I absolutely hated it. I just don't think Andrade needs this, like, dominant win or anything like that. It dragged a little long for a match like that. Wasn't fun. I do like Andrade. I am rooting for Andrade's return, even with whatever he does behind the scenes. But I just don't really love that angle they took with him. We had the Rascals come out. And I love the Rascals, man. It felt weird seeing Wesley, a.k.a. or now known as Desmond Xavier, on AEW. Like, I want to say he's wrestled with WWE for 4 or 5 years at this point. At least as long as I've been a rewatch. Since I started watching WWE post-COVID, Desmond Xavier has been on my TV as Wesley. So this felt a little weird, but at the end of the day, I think it's really cool. I think it's really good. I like that they could kind of embrace the stoner gimmick a little bit more. I'm personally not the type of guy that's like stoner is funny, but whatever. Like, be a little extreme. We don't see that in wrestling. I like the fun of it. You know, if Matt Riddle went to AEW, I bet he'd do a similar thing. But this is a team that's scary, and I think this is a team that'll eventually be the Trios champions. Speaking of the Trios champions, we had a new Trios champion crown on this show, and that's kind of what I'm saying. Kevin Knight, what's it called? Jet Speed, and Hangman Page end up winning the Trios Championship. And this tells me that Powerhouse Hobbs is Fed bound. he's going to the WWE because you take the titles off of him. This could have been his last AEW match, so take it all in. Again, this was a match that I was kind of like dead by this point. But I did get a pop for the title change. I did get a pop for the title win. And I'm excited for Kevin Knight versus Swerve, man. This week it's going to be a great match. We also had the Jack Perry Anthony Bowens match, but again, it was just like good wrestling after 7 hours of wrestling. Just doesn't really hit for me. It was good. It wasn't great. But from what I understand, good match. I couldn't tell you who won. I think it was Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy versus Ricochet. Just give me the theme song again. I want to talk about TNA because TNA was a very interesting show this week. Now, again, this is This Week in Wrestling, so if you're an Extreme Wrestling fan, I hope you're still here. But if you're not sticking around for TNA, or if you want to learn about TNA, go ahead. But they had their debut show on AMC this week. Where do I start? This was a bad show. I'm going to get that out the way. This was a bad show. A lot of things didn't hit, and I can't blame them because Leon Slater's travel restrictions. Your best wrestler on the roster couldn't be on the show. It's going to be tough for you to have a bad show. A good show, excuse me. The show opened up with Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy taking on some team. I couldn't tell you the team, but Jeff and Matt had I don't even want to say good showing. It's just fun seeing them with their titles on the screen. Then we had a women's knockouts tag team match. One of the worst matches I have ever watched. Shout out the Iconics. Glad they're still doing what they do. But the main event was a very good main event. Now this, again, as of January 18th is one of my matches of the month. I think it's a top 5 match this month. Mike Santana versus Frankie Kazarian. They ran it back on the pay-per-view this week, and I thought this match was better than that. I think this was the only highlight of the show. A very, very, very good main event where Mike Santana takes the title home. I just think he's kind of the perfect babyface in wrestling. You just always want to root for him. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. So I'm going to root for him, because he's fun. It's fun. I just don't think a debut show, the big headline should be Cora Jade is a part of your roster. I like Cora Jade. I don't hate her decisions outside of wrestling. I don't hate her as a wrestler even. I don't think she's amazing. I don't think she's this primetime player that it's like Cora Jade is total nonstop action. But I do think she's good. I think we could have used a BDE on the show. We could have used a Rich Swann on the show. We could have used some of the funner guys on the show. But what are you going to do? I'm not bugging it. TNA Genesis was this Saturday, and I have probably watched 4 or 5 TNA shows. This was the best pay-per-view I've watched from TNA. We kicked it off. Man, my handwriting is so terrible. I'm going to have to hold the book for this. We kicked it off with JDC. We kicked it off with Rich Swann versus AJ Francis. I tried to tune in live, so I ended up missing this match. I watched the end of this match. I don't know how it was. I'm not going to lie. But we had a Fandango retirement match. JDC retired to Eddie Edwards, I want to say his name was. It was a good match. I thought it was a very good, entertaining match. Nothing to write home about. I thought the JDC's Last Dance stuff was cool, because Fandango call. He hit a Walls of Jericho, which was also fun. But I thought it was a good match. Ryan Nemeth versus Mara Sade. We had an intergender match on this show. And I thought it was fun, man. I thought it was really fun. Ryan Nemeth cheating to win versus, not to be sexist or nothing, but versus a girl seems like a pretty scumbag thing to do. Holding the ropes on the pin. Sure, go ahead. I don't think this feud is over. I don't know where they go with this because I feel like an intergender match feels like the peak of a feud. But if you want to do an Extreme Rules last man or woman standing, go ahead. But I do think Mara Sade, since coming to TNA, has been a great addition. She's been something fun to watch when you tune into these shows, something you want to go back and see more of. And I think that after this feud, she should get slotted into this main event position with Cora Jade, with Lei Ying Lee and Zarya, who had a match. I mean, Zarya's an NXT talent, but Zarya and Lei Ying had a match on the show. Not much to talk about, but it was just a very good show. I mean, a very good match. Very good, very well. The Cora Jade stuff, obviously we're going to get that eventually, but what was the real highlight of the show to me was Zarya. I mean, not the whole show, but this match was Zarya. I think Zarya could be like what they wanted Jade Cargill to be. Jade Cargill Zarya doesn't have the aura and that energy Jade Cargill has, but Zarya has the bag, the much better wrestling bag, much stronger. I just think she needs to build that aura up a little bit. The Hardys versus the Righteous was a really good match, but near the end of the match when the dude in the Righteous was like, this is what we wanted to hurt, Like, bro, you are not some super genius. That shit did not hit for me. This Joe Hendry, Moose, and Cedric Alexander match was one of the better matches of the month, too. Definitely did not miss. I thought it was an all-around great match. Out of all the Moose matches I watched, I think this was his best performance. They kind of faked a serious injury, which I didn't like because I kind of been on it. So, sure, go ahead. Maybe I did like it. I liked it on the inside, I'm not going to lie. But it was a good match. It was fun. I would have loved to see this match with Leon Slater, who was supposed to be in this match, but he ended up travel restrictions. And then we main event with Mike Santana versus Frankie Kazarian in a Texas death match. These were really weird Texas deathmatch rules. Maybe I'm the only one to feel like this. Maybe I'm not tapped in enough. But you pin them 1, 2, 3, and then they have a 10 count to get up. So that was kind of like a adjustment to me. It kind of feels disappointing when Mike Santana's pinning. He's like 1, 2, 3, and then he gets up, and you got to wait another 10 count. You know, like it's just you can't really feel that 3 count the same way you would. But I thought this was a really good match. It just wasn't as good as their main event match. I feel like they did a good job, though, at what they wanted to accomplish. And Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler not being able to cash in establishes Mike Santana as the guy as of right now on TNA. I don't know if when Nemeth cashes in, that's going to be something we're hyped about because, like, I feel like Santana should hold this for a while. He seems like one of the guys in TNA, like a real top dog. But I don't know. You let me know at home. If you're a TNA watcher, let me know what you think. NXT this week, I thought it was a bad show. I didn't really enjoy it. Kalani Jordan versus Lola Vice was cool. Joe Hendry versus Dion Lennox was cool. Other than that, nothing really hit for me. Charlotte Hill should have his mic cut. I think he's a really good wrestler, but I just don't like him on the mic. And I also like Jada versus Blake Monroe. I might be in the minority here, but Jada versus Blake Monroe seems like it could be a very fun match. Something entertaining for me personally because I do like Jada Parker as a wrestler. I like the aura, and same thing with Blake Monroe. Blake Monroe, deadass, is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world right now. She's just being utilized on NXT. I think the call-up should happen at the Royal Rumble. Now, I don't know if there's an NXT pay-per-view before the Royal Rumble, but I would love for it to be Blake Monroe's last pay-per-view because I think she is just ready to go. I think we're misutilizing her almost. Let's not miss the mark with her, and let's get Blake Monroe versus Becky, Blake Monroe versus Bayley, Blake Monroe versus Charlotte, Alexa, a lot of the older people in the women's division, Asuka, just so we could say we have that out of the way. And lastly, AAA. AAA is fun because if I had a son or a daughter, I would want to watch AAA with them. It's just very fun, very safe. It's like what you want to watch if you went to a wrestling show. Fun wrestling. You got Hamburguesa Jr. or whatever his name is. Big boy moves. You get the good matches here and there too. It's simple. It's good. I personally do enjoy it. The main event didn't do much for me. Vikingo versus El Grande Americano. El Grande being face over there is funny to me. And then Santos Escobar returns on the show. So that's pretty much it for this week in wrestling. A lot of wrestling, man. I'm sweating. Hit the Dolph Ziggler really quick. Thank you guys so much for watching this week in wrestling. Man, if you guys kept up with wrestling as much as I did this week, please comment down below. And if you didn't, let me know if this convinced you to maybe go watch a TNA, go watch a AAA. Even if you're a WWE stan, go watch a AEW. Just go do your thing, man. And if you like wrestling, go enjoy wrestling. Simple as that. We out. Good it.